The following program contains scenes and language of a frank and explicit nature. Discretion is advised.
Episode 97 of Rare Form Radio is coming inside of your face as we speak. Welcome, Darren. Good to see you, buddy.
What's up, man?
How you doing? We are in a new set today. We're going to try to change the set about once a month, it feels like. And now we're in like a cuckoo's nest type deal. What do you say? Cuckoo's nesty?
Nest?
Yeah, ish.
What is that, like a book or something?
Yeah, it's a really famous book. Just a book.
I don't know.
Written by Jack Nicholson. I'm excited today. We have a guest that I've known for over almost 20 years, or maybe 20 years now, and one of my favorite people maybe in the world. He's been in many bands. He's been in a band called Fitness. He's been in a band called the Brotherhood of Lost Dogs, which is fantastic. His twin brother is an artist named Chevy Mustang. He's in a band called Eve 6, but most of you know him from the band Sugi Tap. Please say hello to Max Collins. Darren, clap. There you go.
That's right. I don't take issue with any of that.
Yeah. Should we spend the whole time talking about Sugi Tap?
Yeah, absolutely. I think your listeners would probably really enjoy that, and I know I would.
I really did like Sugi Tap. So it was like after Eve 6 had like where did Sugi Tap come from? I didn't plan on talking about this right away, but it's making me, now I want to get right into it.
It came from the beginning for me of like this creative purgatory that lasted for maybe like almost a decade.
It's a very long time. That's a quarter of your life.
Yeah, it was basically like Eve 6 broke up in like 2003 or 2004. And that was primarily my call. I was just, a whole bunch of reasons converged to make it not fun anymore. And I continued, namely me needing to get sober, but I didn't for a couple years still after the band stopped. But then in 2006, I did. And yeah, it just took me a really long time to kind of rediscover myself and my voice, literally, and as like a writer. So I found myself being sort of moved around at the whims of other folks a little bit, and it was a wholly unsatisfying time in my life creatively, but it was also really important because that stuff needed to be, I think, at least that's I can't run it's the way it happened. So I'm choosing to look at it like it was good as opposed to running some counterfactual where I, was creatively prolific from the get-go. Mm-hmm. So, that's kind of how I look at those years. They were important for me from like a recovery standpoint, terrible for me creatively. But
do you lump Brotherhood of Lost Dogs in with that terrible creative period?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I think like there were some good songs with that. I did have a good time with that and with those guys.
Rest in peace, Joe Bass.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it was on such a tiny scale. We never released anything. But no, I don't look at that the same way.
That was, I do love Fitness a lot. It's so different than anything you've done. But Brotherhood of Lost Dogs, for me, was probably my favorite thing that you've done outside of Eve 6 so far. Yeah. Like, I know, because you've always been a massive sort of singer-songwriter, like Tom Petty storytelling fan. And by the way, I want to tell you that I think you are a tragically underrated songwriter. You really are a brilliant
Thanks.
songwriter. But Brotherhood of Lost Dogs seemed to be you tapping into a whole other side of you, like more that, not cowboy, because it was like acoustic music, but folky, cool shit. And I loved it. And I was bummed when it kind of stopped happening.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I'll do at some point, like another record like that. Like, I feel like I'd probably have a few of those in me. And I've kind of been thinking about it a little bit. I finally got my guitar, my acoustic guitar that's been sitting since the last tour I did.
The same old Gibson?
The same old Gibson. Yeah. At Art from Everclear's studio. Was there for like a year and a half. And
quarantining.
Yeah, it was quarantining. Because I haven't really been writing that way. Like with the new Eve 6 stuff, it's been, I go in and John has made a few different rough tracks for me to listen to. And I write on top of those, and I really like doing that. But I also kind of miss sitting down with an acoustic guitar. So yeah, I'm sure I'll do more stuff like that at some point.
I'm knowing you as well as I think I do. I'm surprised to hear that you haven't just been plucking away by yourself the last year or two.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised too. But yeah, I mean, like the fitness project that I was doing with my friend Kenny, that was a similar thing where he'd have tracks, I'd write on top of them. And then quarantine was me doing this, the Chevy Mustang thing, which is like a joke that no one gets that we have a lot of fun doing. But that's kind of taken up, that's taken up the majority of, or took up the majority of like quarantine time, was just this, you know, inane kind of character that we made up, who's like a kind of like fancies himself. He's well intentioned, but he's got like acute narcissism, and he like
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, he's a perfect character for like house music and all of the derivations therein, and that's kind of where Chevy Mustang lives.
And a wonderful social media character. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like it really works for like, I got 2 or 3 minutes, what's Chevy up to kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Was there a person that sparked that? Like, is that inspired by anybody?
I just had for like years, like 15 of them or something. I always thought it would be funny to do a house song called Because I Want To, and where it's a character like Chevy Mustang. And he's just like listing all the things he wants to do because he wants to. I don't know. That's just always been like a bit in my head. And then I was doing a tour with Fitness and a band called Congos, and it was like a horrible tour. It was, we did a tour with them that was great, and then we did another one with them that was like B markets and fill-in stuff, and like no one came. And
Humbling.
Yeah, but it ended up being maybe the funnest tour I've ever done, because it was like there was this spirit of just I don't know. It was just all jokes all the time, on and off stage, lobbing them at each other and ourselves. Mm-hmm. It was great, and
probably weirdly no pressure either.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, none. And so it was on that tour that I told Danny Congos about Chevy Mustang, and those guys are all legitimate dance music fans. Like, they love it, and they know all about all these crazy producers in like Russia.
Who doesn't, dude? Who doesn't?
He immediately like started making this track, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. And then like I recorded the vocal on it. Chevy has like this sort of ambiguous European accent that's always kind of changing, because I don't know how to do accents, you know. And so I literally did the vocal like at 3 a.m. with like a wad of chew in my mouth.
Fantastic. Like, it's the details, everybody. Listen up, songwriters. This is how you do it.
Yeah, that's right. And from there, it was just like, oh my God, this is so stupid. Like, we need to spend all our time doing this. And that's kind of what happened during quarantine. And along the way, we just had these really strange things happen, i.e., getting a text one night and a friend of mine who lives in Chicago, was like, "You're on Jimmy Fallon right now." And
I was watching when that happened.
were you?
Yeah. It was weird as fuck.
I was sure it was a mistake. Like, if you're in bands and shit, you'll have people tell you some crazy shit sometimes. Like, I swear I just heard your song in an American Express commercial. Like,
or they see something old that they think is new or something like that.
100%. But yeah, sure enough, he had done like a 10-minute bit on the Chevy Mustang song and video, where like he thinks Chevy's a real artist. I think it's tough to know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's him and the Roots critiquing Chevy Mustang because I want to. So that was wild.
Questlove was not a big fan.
No,
right?
No one was a big fan. Like, yeah,
it was over the head.
Yeah, yeah, and then we did a couple. We have a collaboration on another song with Kevin Federline.
I want to know how that happened.
Okay,
because it's such a crazy name to bring back. To our lives. Kevin Federline is Britney Spears' ex-husband. And is he the father of one of her kids? Two of her kids?
I think so.
But he was like
both. Okay.
He was a punchline for jokes for like 3 or 4 years, it seemed like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing I love about you is you would bring someone like that into your world. How did that happen?
Well, I know someone who knows him. And he is from Fresno. K-Fed is.
Of course he is.
And Chevy Mustang's origin story is that he was born and raised in Fresno, a small town just outside of Fresno.
Hence the accent. Yep.
Yeah. So this friend sent him. I did an interview with Forbes as Chevy Mustang in character, and it was the most exhausting, like, performative thing I've ever done in my life. I was on the phone with this guy for like 45 minutes as Chevy Mustang. When it was over, I felt like I'd had like a psychic like split or something.
Did you put that out, or did you post a link to that somewhere?
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard that before. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, they sent that to K-Fed, and he was like, "Dude, this is great." And so I asked this mutual friend to ask him if he'd like to feature on a song, and he said, "Yeah."
And he nailed it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
It really is fun.
Yeah, it's very appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the name of that song?
That song is called Man in the Middle.
Yeah. And it's about is it about like music managers? Is it about lawyers? Is it about
all of the above.
People wanting to take their cut and fucking over people over and over again.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you did something with Evan Rachel Wood as well. Was that with Chevy or was that something else?
That was with Chevy as well.
And how did that come about? Because she's great.
Yeah, she's awesome. She asked me if I would do an Eve Six song with her at her Valentine's Day thing or anti-Valentine's Day show that I think she does every year. Mm-hmm. And I said, sure, and did that, and that was cool. She's very talented. Well, I mean,
great
obviously
singer.
As an actor, but like crazy voice. Really, really great voice. And so yeah, that kind of opened that door. And then when we had some Chevy tracks, I was like, "Hey, would you want to feature on this?" And she said, "Absolutely." I really didn't think that was going to be a yes. But
how come?
Because it's absurd. There's no real incentive for her. You know, I mean, it's testament to the fact that she's like a cool person.
I was going to say it's kind of refreshing that someone like that, who I could see, someday she's probably going to win an Oscar, right? Mm-hmm. You would think. And for her to come sing on this ridiculous track is good for her.
Yeah.
Makes you feel good about society a little bit.
Yeah, it's heartening. Yeah.
Any more Chevy stuff coming up?
We have a song that, what is it called? I only remember the opening lyric, which is in the Wall Street Journal. I was reading about wet ass pussy.
Hell yeah. I can't wait.
I forget what it's called, but we had comedian Jake Flores, who, in my opinion, is the only funny comedian.
The only one.
Yeah, there's one. In my opinion, I mean, it's just my opinion, but
You've obviously never heard Dana Carvey.
I sort of like know, I know who that guy is.
He's the worst.
Anyway, Jake Flores raps on it about the 7 deadly sins, and there's a video for it. So yeah, that'll probably be next. But that's the Congos guys that I do that with just moved to Austin along with everybody else, and I'm yeah.
We have thoughts on Austin.
Yeah, dude, all of those, like, fucking, it's not, like, no. Like, it's just another gray neoliberal, like, no. Like,
you're chasing a thing, and by the time you get there, it's going to be over with.
Yeah,
or
it's like Nashville. It's like, you know, not into it.
Now it's unlivable. It's expensive. And by the way, you're in Texas. Texas is cool. Austin is cool. But I would not want to live in Texas.
I'd rather live in Texas than Austin.
Like shit-kicking cowboy boot Texas.
I don't know if I mean that, but I'm trying to drive home a point here.
Right. Yeah, I don't think you do too well in shit-kicking Texas.
Probably not. But
look at this tall, red-headed fag over here.
I don't know. I don't. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, but this also kind of coincided with Eve 6. Getting active again, and so that's kind of what I'm focused on now. Is we have a new record coming out in June, our first in like over 10 years, and then a full length. That one's an EP, and then a full length that's just ready to go after that.
I heard it a bunch of months ago. Sweet Pea, your guitar player, John sent it to me, and it was so great. It was such like a throwback to the early days of just like 3 guys playing music.
Yeah.
It's more punky or more punk than anything you've done so far.
Yeah.
But it feels more sincere to what you've wanted it to be for a long time.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So it has like new life to it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. It's cool. Yeah, it's just, it's fun, and we're doing, like letting our influences show for the first time, because we kind of can. And yeah.
It seems like I know that you've struggled before for a long time with your identity being wrapped up in Eve 6, and you've struggled with, loving the band or appreciating it at times. Where are you at with that right now? It seems like you're in a better place with it.
Yeah, I think, I have it, I think, neatly kind of compartmentalized. It exists in 2 ways for me. And, when I look at the first 3 records that we did when we were, John and I were teenagers, and between the ages of like 19 and 23, I guess, were those first 3. Like, I can see what's good about them. I can see why people, reacted. Of course, it's like, it's like complicated. I have mingled feelings of pride and embarrassment, but the embarrassment isn't oppressive or anything. At this point, it's kind of pleasant, and I've actually like literally put it to work for me in a way.
How so?
Just with the way I've in the last few months been doing this like psychedelic online thing where I'm like, Twitter.
We're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which has been good for me. I think it's actually been like, sounds corny, but kind of healing, because I'm like, I don't know. It's making me look more objectively, I think, at things. And
if people aren't sure what we're talking about, maybe 7-8 months ago,
It was like December.
Okay. Max you kind of took over the Eve 6 Twitter handle.
Yeah.
And immediately the new voice of it was like, it's so you.
Yeah.
It's one of the first times actually that, like I've known you. Do you remember when we met, by the way? Do you know where we met?
Let me see if I can remember.
It was a weird place.
It wasn't at a Bad Apples show?
Mm-mm. We met in 2000 at the WBCN River Rave in Massachusetts.
Oh, shit. Really?
Because Monty, my old singer from Bad Apples, was on tour with
Czar
or American Hi-Fi, one of those two.
Oh, probably Hi-Fi.
And he became friends with you guys.
Yeah.
And then I went to visit him and met you guys that day.
Crazy.
And I have been a Eve 6 fan from day one. Like that first record, from the moment I heard Inside Out, like I don't really care about lyrics for the most part. I never really have for some reason.
Yeah.
But the melody and the hook, which you guys have had from day one, got me immediately. So I've been an Eve 6 fan from day one.
That's awesome.
So like and back then I've only been in LA for a year, so I didn't really know anyone who was in bands. I didn't know famous people yet. And you were one of the first groups that I met where I was like, holy shit, I'm meeting Eve 6 today.
That's so
How
funny.
cool. But since then, I've lived with you for times when I was like homeless and like my band Bad Apples was kind of trying to get shit going, and you housed all of us at some point.
Yeah.
But back to the Twitter thing.
I never housed Fainer.
That's true. It's probably good. It'd be
You got to draw the
common
line
shit
in
everywhere.
the sand somewhere.
Fainer was our drummer in the Bad Apples, and he also was a writer for Penthouse
And a porn actor.
Dude.
Yeah.
You've seen the pictures, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Of him getting pile driven, getting his ass eaten by a really nice lady.
Yeah.
Anyway, hope your kids are listening. But knowing you as well as I think I do, the Twitter thing was the first, like this new Twitter Eve 6 thing was the first time that I've really heard you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
totally.
on social media.
Yeah.
Not to say that whatever you usually do is like bad, but this feels so genuine to you, and it's completely your humor.
Yes.
Like, well, your humor and a lot of truth.
Yeah, right.
So what was the impetus for the Twitter thing? Like, was there a discussion of like that who was running Twitter before?
Like, kind of no one really. We would, if there was something to push out to promote a show or merch or all of that usual stuff that bands do.
Hawking your wares.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think, like I knew that we were going to have this, the first single from our EP coming out in, when did that come out? February or something. And I was like, people have accused me or the Twitter thing of being like this cynical marketing thing or whatever. And in a way it was, because I was like, but on a way smaller scale than people realize. I was like,
that wasn't the intention.
Well, I was like, the intention was, okay, I think I will start to post from the Eve 6 account to let our 2 to 2,100 fans like know that we're going to be active again. And right, like moments after that, is this right? No, I feel like shortly thereafter I woke up one morning and it occurred to me that I literally was a virgin when I wrote what I call the Heart in a Blender song.
Were you really?
Yeah, because I wrote it, at least sections of it, because the song in its first iteration had a different verse, and that song existed when I was a junior in high school, and I didn't lose my virginity till I was a senior in high school. So the chorus I wrote when I was a virgin. So I was like, okay, this is this is a good post. I was like, this is
I nailed
a
it.
potent fucking post, I think. And, you know, maybe people like it to the tune of like 100 likes or something like that. And then, of course, it ended up going viral. And it just occurred to me at that point that I kind of had nothing to lose, that, you know, and I just decided to just keep going, with the criteria being like, is it true? Does it have some entertainment value? And if it checks those boxes, then fire it off. And so I was just like, okay, I'm just going to be an insane person and to do like, so I started doing like 60 tweets a day, and I kept that up for a while.
Yeah. Because literally, like, it became like the must-follow Twitter account of the year, which is wild.
Yeah, it's
like,
really funny.
The follower thing just like started skyrocketing. Then it was talked about in magazines, and other like big publications would retweet it, and it became the thing where someone would text me or everyone was texting everyone, being like, "You got to start following the E6 account." I was like, "Bro, I already do.
Yeah.
I'm on it." But like you just said, you would tweet so much where someone would say, "Did you see the Max's tweet, or you see the E6 tweet about this thing?" You'd go there and you would have posted 20 times since then. Like, it was so prolifically funny and cutting at times.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. And it became something where not even just Eve 6 fans were following. Like, if you just liked entertainment, you would have to follow the Eve 6 account.
Oh, yeah, no, I would say definitely the vast majority of our followers now are, I mean, they might know who Eve 6 is, but they're not, you know, I mean, these are people that come for something else, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who has been the biggest retweet you've gotten from Eve 6 from that account? Or biggest fan you've made, most popular, famous fan you've made from that account?
Okay.
You know?
Well, we got some wild ones. We had Meghan McCain quote tweet one of them. I forget which one it was. I ignored that. We had Marianne Williamson come in, and we actually got into a little debate with Marianne Williamson.
No shit.
Yeah.
Brianna, did you hit her? Did you tag her in something that got her attention?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, in those first few weeks, I was doing that classic, 2000 whatever shitpost thing where I was just adding whomever and asking them if they like the Heart and Blender song. And we got out of that some, like, what's
it was
his
so
name?
funny.
Yeah. So that's how some of them happened. And then, I don't know. God, definitely some wild, I've made a lot of friends. I've made a lot of just kind of interesting, sort of unlikely friendships through it.
And you did something that a lot of people don't, is that you would actually interact with people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people would respond to it. And obviously there was a lot of stupid responses.
Yeah.
But some of the stupid ones got your attention more than some of the smart, nice responses.
Yeah, right. Well, the stupid ones, some of the stupid ones you don't want to let go to waste because they can really be good. But I also, to be honest, like it was so refreshing all of a sudden having people who were smart and funny interacting with the fucking Eve 6 account that, I like appreciated that. So like, I'd riff with people. Yeah. Why not?
It was beautiful to watch. So that's at Eve 6 on Twitter, obviously. Have you slowed down lately?
I guess I've slowed down a little bit from like the 60 a day. Yeah. But I mean, I'm still doing quite a bit. I'd say I'm probably doing like 20 a day.
Still good. That's a good output.
Yeah.
Do you ever delete any? Do you ever push it out and be like, I can't do that?
Oh yeah. I delete all the time, but I don't usually delete because I feel like I'm being polemic. I usually delete just because I don't think something is good.
I don't know
funny.
what polemic means.
Controversial.
Okay. You're a good wordsmith. You got your words.
Right?
You always have, though. I mean, that's also part of your your lyrical approach to songwriting. You put words together like no one else that I've listened to before, like in a really intelligent way. And who were your like lyrical inspirations? Because it's very unique. Your writing is very, very unique.
Thanks.
You know?
I think lyrically, probably like in my formative years of when I first started doing it, which I guess, the records didn't come that long after. Jawbreaker was huge. Definitely the Smiths. Yeah, so I guess sort of first and second wave there, emo a little bit, but then also like some of the like punk rock stuff that kind of gets put in this bin of being sophomoric and stupid, I think is actually like high art.
You mean like lagwagon type stuff, or
They're pretty stupid.
face to face, or like what kind of
Screeching Weasel, No Effects. So yeah, but like bands that touch both of those scenes, I guess, right there. But yeah, there were like a few, the Mr. T Experience, like that are like great, like to my mind, great songwriters, like because they're doing this honesty thing where I don't know, it's they're like not hiding, you know what I mean? I don't know, but so yeah, I think that's where some of those influences kind of happen. But I think for me, more than, yeah, I've always enjoyed playing with the way words sound. That's more important to me than what I'm saying or what they mean, like just playing with the phonetics of things.
the pacing? Your thing is like it's almost like a rap approach in a way of like the rhythm in a word.
It was
is sort of more important sometimes than the actual word that you're saying.
Definitely,
at times.
Yeah. It was definitely in the beginning, especially because I had no melodic comprehension. So I was like, I really was.
That surprises me.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't say none, but like I definitely wrote more for. I had to make like the scan of the words do a lot of heavy lifting because I didn't really. I had sort of just started pretending I was a singer.
And also, I mean, your first record came out when you were 18. How much could you possibly know about life or experiences? Like, there's nothing.
Totally.
So you're like,
I don't know shit.
Right. You're like, what would adults say? Or like,
Totally.
that kind of shit.
100%.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Jawbreaker is a good one because it's like Jawbreaker has a very poetic approach to his lyrics.
Yeah.
Blake, is that his name? Right.
Yeah.
And you have a bit of that too, where if the words are just written down, you could see it as like actual poetry. You wouldn't think these are lyrics.
Yeah.
I mean, some would be.
Sometimes. Yeah. I mean, I think.
Sunset Strip Bitch is like,
Yeah.
probably the highlight of.
Yeah.
of your
Definitely.
career.
No, that's a great song.
Yeah. Can you do it a cappella for us right now?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, I mean, lyrics, most lyrics look pretty stupid on the page and like, but yeah, there are some things that I've written that I do think, kind of work that way, but not like, it wouldn't be like a complete song, but sort of certain lines of songs or whatever, I could say, okay, that could sort of be poetry, but it's such a different thing, especially with the way my process is, where I don't care that much about the actual content. I do in that, like, if it can't just be random shit or it won't feel good.
It has to resonate with you somehow.
Yeah. But that's often through like abstraction, which like my favorite writers do that. And I think, I don't need to know what a song is about. I'd rather not know in fact, because it's like that's what gets you to that dreaming, that waking dream thing. Same way great movies do it too. They're not serving you anything. It's like it just taps into this dream thing.
It makes you do a little work.
Yeah.
Yep. You also, being a bass player myself, I always appreciate people that play bass and sing at the same time. Do you have favorites of yours of bass player singer combinations?
Yeah. Let me think.
There's Sting. There's Les Claypool. There's
Fat Mike.
Oh, there you go.
Fat Mike. He just bangs on that thing, kind of plays it like a guitar.
He plays hard too, or really fast.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely not. The bass. I started playing the bass because it seemed like I loved the idea of like being in a rock and roll band, but was mortified at the thought of being like, the focal point or whatever. And I always thought the bass was just cool, and then through being in little fake bands in high school and stuff, and having a guy who was like supposed to be the singer but didn't really have ideas or couldn't really sing, and I would hear melodies in my head and I'd say, oh, why don't you try this? And I'd hear my voice do it and I'd think, oh, that doesn't sound terrible. So then that's how I discovered songwriting, and then that became the primary thing. I didn't care about like getting better as a bass player, even though I did through making the records, because working with producers and stuff like that, definitely like I had to sort of up my game, but it wasn't through like woodshedding.
I want to ask a geeky bass question. Cause you have to sing. I feel like you have to kind of sort of dumb down what you're playing to sing properly. Some guys don't, like Sting. I don't know how Sting or McCartney can do what they do, or Les Claypool can like do what they do and maintain a separate.
I don't either.
It's like your brain goes a different place. There's a couple songs I know you can't play and sing at the same time.
Yeah. There's one Eve Six song that I straight up can't do, and it's called Curtain, and off the fourth Eve Six record, and it's just a crazy bass line. There are others that are more rhythmic and have more notes in them than our normal kind of more pop punk-ish stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have to practice it super slow and realize exactly where, like, it's pathetic the way I need to learn how to do it. But but once I do, it's ingrained.
Make it its own rhythm between notes and
exactly. This is what beat is the vocal happening on, what beat is the bass note happening on, and some of them are just so counterintuitive that you feel like
Curtain is weird. It's such a weird bass line as is.
Oh yeah, you've played it with us.
I think I played it. I think I came to rehearsal or came to soundcheck to play it, and I couldn't play it right. I thought I had it figured out, and then I got there, and you or Tony was like, "Those are not the right notes."
Probably Tony.
Maybe. And I was like, "Oh, I could have sworn they were." He goes, and like, no, and we tried to change it, but like once I,
sorry,
oh, it's fine. Once I practice or like learn a song, if I get to the place and I have to change it there, I can't.
Yeah,
I've studied it.
Yeah.
I've learned it. If I learned it wrong, I'm just going to either play it wrong or not play it.
Yeah.
So I tried to play with you guys, but it's such a weird, like bouncy thing that goes completely against the vocal.
Yeah, it's very weird. Yeah, there's On the Roof Again off the second record has kind of like a weird bass line, and that took me forever.
The bridge is a weird, right?
The bridge, but even more so than the bridge is the verse, because there's all that space.
Mm-hmm.
If there's constant playing, even if the movement is sort of counterintuitive with the vocal, it's a little easier for me than if there's space.
Sure. I played that with you guys, and that's one of my favorites. We did that at the Troubadour.
Yeah.
Love. That's one of my favorite songs that you guys have ever done.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Do you have a record that you, an Eve 6 record that you're either most proud of or least bothered by?
Yeah, I mean, it's my answer to that is always so predictable when there's stuff that I've done recently, because
it's the new mindset, the new
I would pick the full length record that we just finished that no one is heard yet.
What's it called?
I don't know what that one's going to be called yet.
Okay.
The EP is going to be called Grim Value. But yeah, so I just identify with that stuff more. It feels more real and urgent. It feels like I'm in it. Whereas the other stuff, I look at it in this compartmentalized way. But what I think about it ultimately doesn't matter, But
my opinion doesn't matter either, but I'm going to tell you anyway.
Yeah.
It's All in Your Head is my favorite one, and that's when I was spending the most time with you guys, and I was living with you and Tony kind of during that time back and forth, and that was when I was like most excited about the prospect of my band, the Bad Apples, becoming huge, which of course it didn't.
Do your listeners know about the Bad Apples?
I've touched on it a couple times, but I've never played anything.
The Bad Apples were a legit rock and roll band. Fantastic fucking band.
It's so weird to hear that, because like we were not good musicians, but I guess that's also not what really matters.
No, that's literally why you were good.
Right. I guess I get it.
Rock and roll. I get it. It's a transcendent thing. It's like, it's freedom. Like it was interesting in part because of the lack of, prowess. It was just primal.
You didn't know, explain what it was like for you to go see the Bad Apples and what you were expecting, what you saw, and just for myself, for my own self-esteem, what did you like about it?
It felt like the closest thing I would experience or to like seeing the Germs or something like that. Like, not that it wasn't even that similar musically. I'm just saying the feeling of like just abandon and just belligerence, like just enough control.
Not always, but yes.
I mean, musically, like things were always really threatening to go off the rails, and maybe sometimes they would, but you can't have it just completely off the rails, or it's also boring, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to have both. And obviously Monty, the singer, who couldn't sing, but all heart.
But he was mesmerizing.
He was a star.
Yeah.
It's like whatever that thing is, he had it.
I've spoken loosely about him on the show before, but there is literally nobody else like him on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And he's lived this Forrest Gumpian type music life where I don't think he's ever had a job besides being a messenger. Him and I were messengers for the same company at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But he has been in bands, and he started a band in Sweden, even though he lived in LA. And then he went to truck driving school, and he never drove a truck in his life. And then he went to computer programming school.
Yeah.
But I got so much feedback from people like you guys who loved the band, and the support was awesome. But being in a band with him and a couple other guys, it was just so hard. I was the only completely sober guy.
Oh, that's a nightmare
in the band. Well, you're sober now, too, right?
I'm sober, yeah,
right.
But I've been on tours where I'm the only sober person, and it's a fucking nightmare.
I can't imagine on tour, because on tour there's so much more at stake. We would just play, Spaceland or something.
Yeah. I don't know how you did that.
It was fun because I still had fun, but I'm someone I like to play the songs the same way every time. I like structure. I like if it's not the right speed, it bothers me.
Uh-huh.
I like to it's got to be close to how we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I never got that with the Bad Apples. There were some shows where we played 61 shows in 2 years and 1 week. That was our entire lifespan, was 2 years and 1 week. And we probably had, in my opinion, 5 good shows. Maybe 5. Or I was like, dude, we fucking killed that one.
Yeah, I mean, I could imagine it'd be frustrating because, you're sober. You're also an actual, musician. And you could probably say that for Nate too.
Yep.
But so that's half the band. But then drummer didn't really give a fuck, and that was great. And then the
Always
singer
coked
didn't
out
give
of
a
his
fuck.
mind. Yep.
Yeah. So, but like all fraught band relationships, that's what made it good. Is
True.
because
It was dangerous. There was something like you really never knew what it was going to be.
Yeah, like imagine if every other guy in the Bad Apples was like, "No, we need to make sure we're playing this at the right tempo." And, it's
true.
Monty was doing vocal warm ups and shit, and actually could sing.
La
Like
la
it
la
would
la
have
la
been,
la la
it would
la.
have been total garbage.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Do you ever know the story of when we tried out for Capitol? We had our showcase for Capitol Records.
I remember when this happened. I remember being so excited for you guys, and I remember that like Monty was really bad. Or something.
We went on stage at this place called Club 66 or something. It used to be on Sunset Boulevard. It probably sat 15 people, 20 people. It was like a tiny little bar. I don't know if you were there for that one or not, but we were supposed to go on at like 9 or 10 p.m. We went on at 1:30 in the morning. And just because, like, when you're not on tour, when you're playing like Hollywood shows, there's a thing called Hollywood time.
Yeah.
Where like your friends say,
was this a show? Or
this is a show. This is a show.
It was a show. Okay,
So
I thought this was a showcase for one guy.
This is where the showcase came from.
I see.
So we went on like 3 or 4 hours late because other bands were taking too long and there was no structure. And we almost like decided we just get out of here. We're not going to end up playing tonight. And then, 1:30, like you guys go up and play 5 songs. And 2 of the people who were in the crowd were 2 women who did A&R for Capitol. I have no idea why they were there. And for whatever reason, they loved it. Got a hold of us after the show and said, like, would you guys want to maybe do a showcase for Capitol Records? And at that point, we'd put in a year and a half, which obviously is no time, but we thought we deserved, this is our break.
It's so hard to hear this story because I know it's going to break my heart all over again.
So,
but, yeah.
like, I moved here from Massachusetts to do this, to play music. And, all my peers around me are doing great. And I'm not one of those guys. I don't get jealous about my friend's success. I love it. I revel in my friends doing well, but I also wanted it for myself. Just to tell my family, like, hey, I got a record deal. I'm going to be on Leno or whatever the fuck. All the fun stuff
you're
that comes
a human
with
being,
right.
You're a rocker.
Right. And I want to feel good. I want to be proud. And I was proud of what we did, even though it was crazy. And so we organized this showcase for Capitol Records, and the president, Andy Slater, who was a huge deal. I mean, he ran Capitol Records.
Yeah.
And it was the showcase for him, a special showcase just for him to watch. So they paid for it. We went to this place, SIR in Hollywood, which is like where all the huge bands rehearse, and we show up and there's a full like catering spread and drinks, and we're like, dudes, this is it. Like, we're Beatles move over. Here we come.
Yeah.
It's Bad Apples time. And they had all the booze there. It was like 11 a.m., maybe 1 p.m. or something. And Monty, our singer, Nate, our guitar player, Fainer, our drummer, all had a couple drinks to begin with. And then, long story short, Andy Slater was about 2.5 hours late. And that whole time, everyone kept drinking and kept getting more and more fucked up, past the point of like just being in the comfort zone of drunk.
Yeah.
And Andy got there. He goes, "All right, guys, let's hear a few songs." We started playing, and Monty, our singer, fell over drunk in the first song. And he got up. He lost his place. He came in at the wrong time. And then, like, I'm just
Fell over performatively, or fell over like tripped and fell?
tripped, got like spun his head drunk and fell over because he was drunk.
Yeah.
And had that like uncomfortable struggle to sit up drunk, like get me back to my feet thing. Like a homeless guy,
Yeah.
which he probably was at that time.
Yeah.
And I broke into a full like flop sweat of
Yeah.
like misery,
Yeah.
and I could feel it slipping away.
Yeah.
And we still did 2 more songs.
Yeah.
And when we were done, like, we had our friends come to sit at that thing with us to be supportive. And like, I don't know if they even clapped when we were done.
Wow.
I think everyone in the room knew that it went
Not good.
bad.
Yeah.
And Andy Slater kind of like just nodded and walked out of the room. And we went out in the hall, or Monty like chased him out into the hallway. And basically was like, I don't think Monty understood how bad it was. and he asked Andy, like, how do we do? Like, when are we going to sign paperwork, basically? And Andy said, you guys will probably get a deal someday, but not with me and not today, and walked away.
Yeah.
And I went out in the hallway, and Monty was in tears. And literally at that moment, I realized that we blew our shot.
Yeah.
Because we were told that it was going to be between us and this band called The Vines. It was like one or the other was going to get the record deal.
Yeah.
And of course, The Vines did and had a couple
Yeah.
hits, but it was crushing.
Oh, that's so hard.
And that was kind of the beginning of the end. I don't think any of us ever bounced back from it because we weren't the kind of band that was going to get a bunch of opportunities. We had to be ready for the shot when we got it, and we fucked it up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hard. Good. I'm glad you got that ready, man.
Yeah. So, congrats on your success.
Well, I mean, I still had plenty of times where I fucked up opportunities along the way and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I had my own alcoholism for a good deal of the first run of the band, and was just also allergic to like the kind of schmoozing careerist stuff that I think bands that end up having careers, this could be cope. I'm sure it's not true for all, but I think, often that helps people who actually like enjoy hanging out with industry people and stuff like that.
That's not you.
Yeah. I don't.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah. And like, not that there's anything wrong with being an industry person or something. I don't like playing that game. And this comes off like, oh, I'm just too real. I'm just too anxious or something. Like it's not, I prefer to be comfortable,
And you are someone, you have anxiety, don't you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you nervous right now?
There's literally a fucking turd in my sweats right now, man.
Save it for me. Will you sign it for me before you leave?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Do you have a white Sharpie?
Absolutely.
Cool.
What were you were just saying something that I want to ask you about. Sobriety.
Yeah.
So when we were all hanging out together back in like the 2002, 2003, it was some of my favorite times in LA because no one had anything to do.
Yeah.
So we would like go to someone's house, go to your house, and we'd be up till 4 or 5 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Then at like, because I was the guy that didn't drink, at 4 in the morning, there'd be an idea of like, we need to go to Del Taco.
Yeah.
Dan, pull the car around.
Yeah.
And we'd go and we'd be up till the sun came up. And
Yeah.
it was, there was wrestling matches in your living room. And
Which I lost miserably.
yeah, you're a big guy, but you're very, very weak.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were also... How good it's
You can
long.
talk, yeah, it's a long one. I want you to sit in it for a minute.
Okay, sick. You had your wits about you, man. Okay.
Is that all it was?
That at least played into it.
We can go right now if you want.
I'd rather not.
Okay, cool.
If that's cool with you.
All right, it's cool with me. It's my show, so I like to kind of wrap up the interview with a fist fight every show.
Right.
So maybe towards the end I'll circle back and see how you feel about it.
That sounds good to me.
One of my favorite images of you, I'll edit this out if you don't want me to, but you went upstairs and you weren't married yet, but you were with who would end up being your wife, Victoria, and it was probably 3 or 4 in the morning, and we're all still hanging out in your living room, watching TV, hanging out, people playing music, and then maybe 20 minutes later, we see your bare feet coming down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then we see your bare legs.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see your raging boner.
Yeah.
And then we see no shirt.
Right.
And then we see your head and we see a sombrero on the top of it. And it is still to this day my favorite image of you.
3 cancelable offenses built into this.
No, you can't be canceled. I mean, you were love making your
I was culturally appropriating the fucking hat while walking downstairs with a boner in front of a room full of
it was all men, I think.
Okay.
So that's good. But you also grew up in LA, so the Mexican thing kind of you can get away with it more than I could being from Massachusetts.
I don't know if it totally works that way, but I appreciate you having this charitable view of it.
Enjoying the podcast? If you'd like to show support for Rareform, there are a couple of ways. Become a patron at patreon.com/rareformradio. Make a one-time donation or choose from a few subscription levels paid monthly for extra benefits. Those extra benefits include bonus episodes not available to the public, exclusive live streams, more interactions with the gang, along with other special perks that will change over time. Choose your level of donation and know that your contributions go to keeping the show running and growing, paying crews behind the scenes, and just supporting independent artists. That's patreon.com/rareformradio. You can also get Rareform merch by going to rareformradio.threadless.com. T-shirts, hoodies, mugs, all kinds of silly shit. We're constantly adding new things and limited time only goodies. That's rareformradio.threadless.com. You can also help build the show by subscribing, leaving a review, and most importantly, leaving us a rating on iTunes and Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Lastly, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram by searching @RareformRadio. Thanks for supporting independent entertainment.
What about the time that the cops came to Tony's house and we had lemons in our butts?
Darren, have you ever put a lemon inside of your asshole?
I don't see why I would do that.
So that's a yes. You probably have. So we used to hang out all the time, and you, your friend Justin, and Monty, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Tony had this lemon tree in his house, and you guys thought it would be funny to put lemons in your butts, like in your butt cheeks.
Mm-hmm.
And the doorbell rang, and you guys were completely naked,
with lemons in our butts.
With lemons in your butts, and I was sitting on the couch behind you guys.
Yeah.
And dude, the comic timing of what happened next cannot be matched.
Yeah.
The door opens, and it's the police, which we did not expect.
Mm-hmm.
And a lemon fell out of someone's ass. Who was it? It fell on the ground.
I think it was Monty.
So we open the door, and the cops are there. They see 3 naked men standing in the door, and then all of a sudden there's there's a lemon on the ground, which means it fell out of one of the dude's asses. It was one of the funniest things ever, and I don't know if the cop even knew what to say. I think he was like, you guys got to keep the noise down. And he wanted to get out of there as soon as possible.
That's all he said?
I think so. He was not there long.
No, he bailed.
He definitely didn't come in and fuck everybody, which is what I think everyone hoped was going to happen. But man, we had some good times.
You know what this story sounds like to a black person?
Yeah.
You'd have been killed probably.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I didn't know you were black until just now because I don't see color, but it probably would have been worse for you.
Yeah, just do a God bless being white.
Yeah. No, listen, I'm grateful. I'm grateful every day. You know, it's easier for me. I get that. But since then, you have found sobriety, and it seems like it definitely was one of the best things for you to do. Because you ended up having a family, and it's got to be a lot harder if you were a mess while you were...
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. For whatever reason, some people do, some people don't, got just sufficiently miserable, like living that way, enough so that I was like, okay, maybe there's another way. Maybe I'll try it and give it a modicum of effort. And I don't know why that happens with, I mean, there are plenty of people who were a lot worse off than me, you know, who don't get to that sort of critical place. And then there are people who continue to enjoy it and be able to live productive lives.
It's one of those things where everyone's different.
Like
we're all made up differently, and some of us can handle more or mask things better or something.
Yeah, or just have a constitution where we're literally not fucking, you know, made miserable by it. I don't know, or maybe you're right. Maybe it's masking things, but Jesus.
This is Max's first interview, by the way. Doesn't know how to turn his fucking phone off. Unbelievable.
It's literally on silent.
Unbelievable, dude.
I'm gonna make her feel guilty right now.
Do it. That's a power move.
Yeah.
You better be gone when I get home.
Yeah.
When you got sober, was it your choice, or did someone have a talk with you? How did it come about, or were you just like, I got to make a change here?
It's such a corny story, but it's the truth.
It may help somebody, so let's
Yeah.
tell it.
There were plenty of instances that could have and should have been it, like that kind of catalyst moment for changing shit. But they weren't. And the one that was it was Mother's Day 06. And I was visiting my parents, and I just had that feeling of, there's language in the book that I always want to just parrot because it's so accurate. Pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization. I was like not able to make eye contact. I just felt like a shell, drawn and hollow, miserable. And
Like, were you fucked up then? Like,
I was probably just badly hungover.
okay.
And yeah, it was, nothing more, special than that. It was on the drive home where I thought it was like, it just came on like a moment of clarity. Something needs to change, or else, this trajectory isn't good.
Not sustainable.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then I called my brother, who you also know, who at the time had like 6 months or something, and said, I want to go to a meeting with you. And then I never looked back. I went all fucking in. And that's where I remained for like 5 or 7 years or something like that. Meetings all the time, doing the thing full on.
It's also part of your addictive personality.
Yeah, I
Where
was
when
gonna
you get
say,
into something,
yeah.
whether it's swimming or whatever the new project is,
Yeah.
it's like that's your tunnel vision. And
To
sobriety,
the detriment of other things sometimes, like definitely to the detriment of my, songwriting, probably some of my relationships. I definitely had to callously cut off certain friendships. But it was just like this is the life preserver right now. This is literally the most productive thing that I can be doing with my time. That's what I was told. That's what I internalized.
self-preservation, and just
Yeah.
And you did not have kids at that point, right? That was
No.
before you had your girls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was in 06. And then I had, we had Isla in 13.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how has being a father changed your life besides in every way possible?
Yeah.
Because for so many years you've been successful. Did you ever have a job before you were 6? Because you were just in high school, right?
I never did.
You've never had a job.
I've never had
like
a
a job. I mean, people, you need to understand that touring and being in a band, it is a job. There's a lot of work involved, but it's not like you're not pumping gas or washing dishes.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've pretty much lived before the girls like responsibility free for the most part.
Yeah.
Was it a hard transition to become a dad? You seem to kind of revel in it in a way, but I'm curious what it did.
I think, yeah, I mean, there's definitely, it's, everything changes, but I do think sobriety prepared me for that too, because you're, if I was still like waking up at 1 PM and just all that shit like that,
Doesn't
it
fly.
wasn't as radical a lifestyle shift as maybe it is for some people, but it's definitely just totally realigns you and what you see as important. And I think, there's just you end up through no virtue, really. It just happens, having this like expanse of love, like you're just cracked open, and you love these little beings more than you ever thought possible. With that comes this sort of kind of strange like liberation too. It's weird. It's not about you, but you also kind of discover aspects of yourself through it. And I think it made me more, I don't know, different. I don't know, man. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, I can't imagine it wouldn't change you somehow.
Yeah.
How did they do over the past year? And how have you done as a family? Obviously, you're no longer with the mom, Victoria, your ex-wife. What was this last year like for you guys as a family?
It was, yeah. I mean, these last couple years were fucking wild because, you know, we separated about 2 years ago. That was honestly, that was the only fair usage, in my opinion, of that fucking stupid pad since
Fair.
Duration of this podcast.
Thank you.
That means don't use it again.
Yeah, I got it. I picked up on it. We'll do it. I will not do it again. I promise. Okay, so sorry, get back on track. We're talking about
divorce.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah, and so that was crazy, very very difficult time, and then quarantine hit. It was a lot. But I think for the girls, I don't think they've felt the anxieties of the world through this. Like, you know, they're sure they've missed out on stuff, but then there's also stuff that we, like it was the first summer that I didn't tour in I don't know how long. So I got to be with them a whole lot more.
In over 20 years, probably.
Yeah. So yeah, all sorts of kind of silver linings like that. Mixed in with, just for me, for the parents, for adults, sure, like a whole lot of anxiety and everything else. But I think they were pretty protected from that. And they also, because of that probably, and because of the fact that their kids they're like joy dispensers. You know what I mean? They they bring levity and perspective. So,
I wish I knew them better, but they're very sweet kids.
Yeah, we should like hang out with them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're very, very sweet. They're very fun. They're very funny.
At least you don't have shitty ones,
Yeah.
We all know some shitty kids, and they're the worst.
Yeah.
I have one of my friends, she had still has a daughter, but when the daughter was younger, it's the only person under the age of 18 that I've ever considered a cunt.
Okay.
So I'm gonna let that sit for a minute.
Yeah, I mean,
like a devil child. It was like Damien from The Omen. That kind of like,
right.
I could see this little girl calculating and doing things to get other kids in trouble. Like, just be grateful you don't have one of those kids.
I'm surprised it was a little girl because, I mean, for the ones that tend to kind of drive me crazy are usually little boys who just have like no disciplinary,
rambunctious
models.
Running and jumping and kicking and breaking things and
just like punching you in the nuts. Like,
it's a good move.
Yeah, not
but
into that move.
This little girl seemed to have learned. You know how like it's such a cliche generalization where women are good at like psychological warfare.
Mm-hmm.
They won't say things with their mouths, but the way they act can really crush you.
Mm-hmm.
This little girl learned that from a very early age and how to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, we talked a bit about touring a little bit. What is the future of live music right now? It's such a cliche question, but when are we going to be back to work comfortably? Do you guys have plans yet? You have 6 plans?
We've gotten some offers. We have some one-offs. We have one in June. So yeah, it feels like it's kind of starting to happen again. I don't know. I don't really pretend to know. Along the way here, like our booking agent was way too optimistic, and
dude, there were people talking about like March of this year having shows again. Like they were saying this like months ago. I'm like, are you guys out of your fucking minds?
Yeah, totally.
Like right now I have shows on the books for September, but I wouldn't put money on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
who would have thought this would have ever happened?
Yeah.
How
That's crazy.
weird.
Yeah. I don't know. I sort of think that there can't help but be like people, you know, like who was saying it last? And talking about how it's the end of live music. I feel like people have been starved of that communal kind of like spiritual experience. They want it more than ever. I feel like there can't help but be a kind of a boom, you know?
I agree 100%. It's going to be like the rebirth of music.
Yeah.
And I know there was friends of mine are in a kind of a bigger band, and they're trying to put together a tour, and they're talking about all this production they want to bring, and like, should we spend the money? And in my mind, I'm like, you don't need it right now.
Totally.
People just want to see people on stage playing music
Yeah.
and sing along and enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the time where you need all the bells and whistles and
Yeah.
people just want to feel
Yeah, it could be more effective not to, just
In a
to have
way.
it be like human.
old school
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Max, thank you, buddy.
Thanks.
I had
Dan.
a blast doing this.
Yeah, same, dude.
Hopefully we can do it again. We've been
Totally.
trying to do this for a few weeks, and the first time I fucked it up by bad information. Second time you fucked it up by not planning your COVID shot, your second shot at
Right.
the right time.
Yeah.
And that second one fucked you up, huh?
Yeah, it really fucking knocked me out, that second one, man.
Which one did you take?
Moderna.
That one kicked my ass.
Yeah.
I was down for like 2.5 straight days. Then I had 2 more days of just
Fog.
and like the craziest fatigue hits out
Yeah,
of nowhere. Where at like 3
totally.
in the afternoon, I'm like, oh my, I gotta take a nap.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like a few more days of just kind of confusion, but
Yeah.
now I'm top of the world.
Quarantine did that fatigue thing to me, man. I would just like, it's so weird. Like not really like using any energy in any real way, but
I
like,
mean, I've been talking about this for a few weeks now, Darren and I.
it's so weird.
It's just it got us in this routine. Like, you're a routine guy, and the routine became nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know for us, for Darren and I, we're talking about like a year of doing nothing to the point where when you finally had a day to do something, it felt overwhelming.
Completely. Like doing the most mundane shit felt like kind of, yeah.
Like what would usually be considered a day off became like, I can't possibly go to Vaughn's today.
Yeah, that's
Are you kidding me?
Whoa. Yeah,
Wait, can we talk about this?
Slow it down here. Like, yeah.
But it does feel like we're coming out of it, and
Yeah.
it's really nice to be able to do this in person
Totally.
with you again.
Yeah.
And it's always nice to see you. And you and I have been saying this for 20 years. We should do this more often.
I know. Well,
And then every time we say it, we're like, this time we mean it. And I know we don't this time either, but I do want to do it more often.
well, let's do it more. And like now, like I feel, yeah, I mean, we live right next to each other, and there's not, the pandemic has lessened a little bit. So fucking,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Absolutely. You can follow at Eve6 everywhere, and really, it's worth it for the comedy and the truth. You can follow at Max Collins Music everywhere. Look out for the new Eve6 EP coming out whenever. June.
Yeah.
Very soon.
Yeah.
Called Grim Value.
Yep.
It'll be everywhere. What else? We got?
Grimvalue.com. You can order like vinyl and stuff like that.
Excellent.
If you so desire.
Excellent. Max, thank you. Everyone else, thank you very much for listening. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, give a follow, give a like. We need it. Go to iTunes, rate everything. Love it. Darren, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And Max, thank you, buddy. And
Thanks,
we will
Dan.
talk to everybody else later.
This is Lola, and I'm here to tell the world to stop being such pussies and listen to Rare Form Radio.